Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and in this game, we're going to talk about mobile beacons and flanking with WASPs. If you like to play a high-octane, highly aggressive game where your opponent doesn't know what hit him, this is the game for you. Let's go. Alright, at the bottom here, I am playing as a Farseer spec with Stonecrawlers and fans, and my opponent, dear Sir Limbo, is playing as a Sabertooth specialist with steel balls and arclights. Now, when you have Stonecrawlers, you just really not much you can do in round one into steel ball arclights. You just want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for a very nice, cozy defensive formation and just wait for the carnage. So because I don't know which side those steel balls are going to come, and 90% of the time they're only going to come in one side, so I've decided to hedge my luck on the left-hand side. But it seems like fate didn't like me today, and Sir Limbo is going to come in from the right. Alright, so first round, and now was the opportunity to respond to something like this. We got reinforcement cards. So far, none of these really stand out for me. My opponent took the improved Overlord. It's a slightly more expensive Overlord, but you got a lot more splash and a lot more HP out of that. And for me, banking on the fact that this is round 2 and being a Sabertooth spec, you usually don't do a lot of heavy anti-air. You just want to punch your way through to the tower. I've decided to add 2 squads of WASP, actually. The first squad is going to serve as a defensive mechanism and also there to kind of clear out things at the front. The second squad is going to be for flanking all the way on the side here. My opponent realized the same weakness as well because I only have fans for defense. He added his own crawlers on both sides. And because he has no anti-air, this is going to be a free round for me. Alright, round 3, I get the Farseer as per my spec, and we also have a unit drop. My biggest problem right now is Chaff Clear. I don't have any Chaff Clear units, and Fire Badger is the best of all the packs for Chaff Clear, so that's going to be my pick. For Sir Limbo, I was a little concerned about the Scorpion, but so far, there's no reason to take the Scorpion unless he expects me to either go Fortress or Fire Badger. He did see the Wasp last round, so if I go Fortress, the steel balls will have something to shoot at. And if I go Fire Badgers, I think right now Fire Badger just doesn't seem so threatening right off the bat. However, level 3 Fire Badgers are no joke. They can actually get range and get Scourge and tech up into this killer of a unit. But in order to get there, you need to make sure that you keep winning these high tempo fights, right? So I took Jump Drive on the Wasps. I can very reasonably expect some sort of a play in this round since Mustang was also offered, and that was the unit that my opponent took. Okay. So I had to move my Wasp out of the way, and at the last minute, I thought, what are the chances of my opponent putting 2 squads of Mustangs on the far left? Probably not very high, because there's really nothing to defend against on the far left, and he needs all the units he can get on the far right. So I've decided, you know what? Maybe there might be an opportunity for me to break in. But I didn't want to risk it right away because I wasn't sure the positioning of his Mustangs. So I wanted to see exactly what's going to happen. So I used my Wasp defensively at the bottom here. I put a cheeky missile because everything was clumped at the front. And now you see the power of the level 3 Fire Badgers, especially running into Mustangs. They just roast them. Very good. The Sabertooth was brought down by a combination of my Farseer and my Stonecrawlers, and now was just mopping up. Okay. So we're getting into round 4 with cards here. I think intensive training is going to be a great card. Sabertooth is like one of those units where if you can give them a few levels, it's going to kill everything very fast. It doesn't matter if they're steel balls. It doesn't matter if they're Sabertooths. And also, Fire Badgers are extremely tanky. At level 4, they have 20,000 HP per unit, making them very difficult to kill. Both of my Wasps get leveled. I took Replicate because I want to move my Wasp away from the corner defense. So Replicate allows me to get away from that and not worry about my opponent taking Replicate in the same round. And now I'm planning my insertion into the left-hand side of my opponent's board. There's one problem though. He already has a ranged Mustang ready to defend. So in order for this maneuver to work, I have to draw those ranged Mustangs away. And in order to do that, I put a pack of crawlers all the way in the back flank. So now you get to see the Mustang move away from his guard duty on the tower, allowing my Wasp to quickly get into the tower and continue on into the other side. On the front here, the tower timing could not be more perfect. It was just right when everything was engaging. So my level 4 Fire Badger are just roasting every unit. Big, small, we don't care. Once the Wasps have finished their duty, the path of destruction, they come back in and they help mop up the rest of my opponent's army. So a very good round here because of that initial tower capture. All right, we're getting into round 5, looking at items here. Because most of my units are small and nimble, I figure I might as well power that on with Quick Teleport. Quick Teleport reduces the time it takes to teleport in by about 50%, which means you're essentially going to get a unit in about 4 seconds, and that's really fast. All right, looking at unit counter. I think right now we have a pretty healthy board. My Fire Badgers counters the Mustangs, and then my Wasp could potentially kill everything else. Now the real problem is these Mustangs like to stay behind big heavy units like the Sabertooth and also the Steel Balls. So before we can fully counter the rest of the board, we need to build some tempo and some levels on these Fire Badger. I do have intensive training, which means I will probably be able to level this Fire Badger once again. It currently does not have Scorch yet, but eventually it will, and with Scorch and with a few more levels, maybe up to level 6, it can burn even the level 2 Sabertooth. On the left-hand side, my opponent decided to double down on the defense, so not only he's going to have another squad of ranged Mustangs, he's also putting down a sentry missile in case I try something super wacky. So I know I can no longer pull him from the left-hand side. But what I can do is to put a squad of Fire Badgers in front, which are excellent in dealing with these Mustangs. And once again, I'm banking on the thought that he's got a strong side, weak side, and he has no reason to put Sabertooth at the front to defend his Mustang. Now, unfortunately, the missile did go off onto my Wasp, but the Fire Badger was able to come in and finish the job with the tower capture. And then once again, his entire army are now fighting under the tower debuff, and my level 4 Fire Badger is potentially going to get up to level 5. At level 5, you can almost see it as a level 3 Vulcan. And we all remember how terrifying a level 3 Vulcan is, right? With Scourge, with range. And with the Fire Badger, you got 3 of them. So 3 times the damage output of a level 3 Vulcan, and that's pretty badass. And we can only get there because of the mobile beacon and the flanking play that we've been doing so far. Alright, round 6. Where can we flank this time? Scorpion is being offered once again, and I am going to take it this time, because I've noticed that there are some pretty big units on my opponent's side that my Fire Badgers can simply not burn through. Another reason I took the Scorpion is because both the Fortress and the Sandworms are offered, and the Fire Badger are just not great into those type of units. Alright, so we got Rhino coming in at the bottom here, but I already have Replicate on these crawlers, and they are 1 level ahead of the my opponents, so I can just take the level and replicate, and these Rhinos would take forever to get to my unit. My opponent took the Sandworm, and they are going to come straight for the tower. So for me, I was contemplating on where the heck am I able to break in, and I think the path of the most correct path will actually put Fire Badgers on the other side, dealing with the initial Mustang here, Fire Badger at the front, dealing with the new Mustang here, and then we're going to come in between the Fire Badgers into tower. But my opponent said enough is enough, and boom, he leveled his tower to level 4, completely denying any sort of benefit of me capturing that tower. A level 4 tower will only give you a tower debuff for about, let's see here, 3 seconds. So that's nothing. And level 2 tower is super tanky. It's going to take forever for my Wasp to kill. I also leveled the tower on the strong side because I do expect my opponent to eventually break in, and I don't want to suffer too hard onto the tower debuff. So I got his tower debuff. I was able to almost kill a Sandworm with my Fire Badgers. Not quite. And now we got Sledgies, we got Sabertooth onto it, but just look at these Fire Badgers go, taking down the level 1 Sabertooth and also potentially taking down the Stormcrawlers. And then Sandworm was on a mobile beacon, which means it's not going to engage the Fire Badgers. And I was able to get a very lucky second tower with just a single Wasp, and that allows the Fire Badgers to come in and mop up against the Sandworm. Alright. I love Jump Drive Wasp. I feel like Jump Drive Wasp, if you just kind of keep them around, they become like this wild card of your board. Because at one point, right, you can do this cheeky stuff with the mobile beacon into the tower, but if the tower is being upgraded to level 4, you can figure out a way for your Wasp to be into the battle. And I want to bring my Wasp into the front line here, but I am super concerned about these Mustangs. So instead, what I'm going to do is going to keep these Mustangs occupied while getting the Wasp into the battle onto his rest of his unit without them having any sort of anti-air. And the way I'm going to do that is to get level 2 Fire Badgers and level 2 Crawlers. Level 2 Fire Badgers are extremely tanky, but more importantly, they can kill Mustangs very quickly. Level 2 Crawlers is going to give even the level 4 Mustang a run for his money, and combined with my original level 1 Crawlers, I'm thinking I should be able to hold them down for quite a while my Wasp do the work at the front. My opponent are going to get some exploding Rhinos right in front of my Fire Badgers, and they will get some. However, the real question is, how many units will you have after? Alright, Wasp coming in here. So on the flank, we're going to have some Crawlers running into Rhinos. The Rhino won't be able to kill them, but they will explode, taking everything around them with them. The Wasp are doing great, getting into the front line and also getting into the tower. Some of these Mustangs are still preoccupied with the Fire Badger, which means they're not firing up at the Wasp. And with that, I am able to get the tower once again, and we're having our Fire Badgers running forward, taking down everything, including the Sandworm. The Fire Badgers now have Ignite, so it's no longer afraid of these large units. And don't forget, I still have a level 3 Scorpion, as well as a Farseer. And with that, that should be enough damage to end the game. Alright, so what did we learn this game? Well, first of all, jump drive WASP, while they're very fragile in the very beginning, it can work to your advantage. Don't blindly jumping into positions. So for my first mobile beacon play, I waited to see where the positioning of the Mustangs are going to be, and I use a distraction chaff, hold them away, allowing a wide opening into the tower. You can do it in the middle, you can do it on the side, but sometimes you can also do it in the middle. So one way I like to do, for example, let's say you have Mustangs right here, right? And you want to come in with the WASP right here. The crawlers are not going to pull these Mustangs. They are going to keep going forward. But what you can do is you can put a crawler right here in the opening here and mobile beacon your crawler towards the right. Your WASP are probably still going to lock onto the tower, but the Mustangs will essentially trace the crawler all the way across the map. So there are different ways that you can use, and if you use them right, it can be so devastating for your opponent. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you want to see another game just like this, here's the video for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics, Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress, the battlefield's alive with swarms.